here with Amy, and this is Tony Esteves here with Amy, and Amy's very kindly agreed to be in a short interview with me because she knows a few things about talking to people and communicating with people. And so thanks very much for being here, Amy.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Sure. We're at the Roastery coffee shop in Kensington, one of my favorite places to meet people and to have good conversations. And just a couple of minutes ago, over coffee, over tea, you were sharing with me about an adventure, about an experience you had while you were down in South America. I'm wondering if you could comment about that for our viewers today.
Yeah, sure. So what I was mentioning is I was in Nicaragua, actually Central America.
Excuse me, Central America. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. And I was there for part of my research for my master's work, and on some weekends we get to go for breaks, and one weekend we were in this place. It's called Laguna del Pollo, and it's beautiful. It's a lagoon lake. It's an old volcano. It's pristine. It's rare. Like, it's not very many places like that, especially in Nicaragua. It's I think it's the only one that's still alive. And there was this moment where I was having breakfast and having a coffee, and at one point I look up, and everyone who's there, all the tourists, were all looking down at their cell phones. Every single one of them. And meanwhile, like, just over to the side, if you just looked over your shoulder, you could see out onto the lake, and you can see all these trees and all this wilderness and this beauty, and yet everyone's still on their cell phones.
And you said that there wasn't even cell phone service.
Yeah, there's not even cell phone service there. So I don't know what these people were looking at. I have no idea. So, yeah.
You observed that, and so how did that make you feel? Like,
frustrated.
Frustrated, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's all this natural beauty in the world. There's all these things in the world to see and to connect to, and I mean, and people are on their cell phones. I guess you could argue that cell phones are connecting, but like, I don't even know what they're connecting to. There's not even cell phone service there. So, yeah, and it's this rare opportunity, and they're on their phones, and they're not even engaging with each other. They're just all sitting there on their own, looking at their cell phone.
Right. And so, as we met a couple of weeks ago by both being in the same cycle lane, and you looked over and smiled, and I got a sense that you'd be open to a conversation. So,
sure.
Kind of like a weirdo, I followed you to Eau Claire, which isn't where I was headed. And we had a chat in the cycle lane, and we talked about how people don't tend to talk to each other, even though cyclists are friendly.
Sure.
You're one of like 3 people I think I've ever spoken to in my life in a cycle lane. You know?
Sure, yeah.
And then it led to a conversation. We agreed to meet again one day, and today's that day, which brings us to this conversation. And you had shared with me also over tea today how you actively try to engage with people, like
That's
get
true.
people to look into your eyes. And can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, basically, I'm an asshole. So I don't know. Can I say that?
You just did, so it's fine. I don't really think you are, based on what you're going to say. But anyhow,
thanks.
go on.
Well, what I find is it's incredible how many people you walk by on the street who are intentionally avoiding making eye contact with you, or avoiding avoiding any kind of chance for a conversation or confrontation or anything. And so what I do is if I see someone who's really trying hard not to look at me, I try really hard to look at them to make them look at me. So, and it's really incredible, like what people go to, like the lengths that go, you can see that their concentration focuses even more on ignoring me. Their eyebrows come down, and they kind of bite their lip a bit more, and they really try not to make eye contact. But so I kind of do get some pleasure out of that, because.
And so, have you been able to break a few people, like make them actually?
Sure. Yeah, sometimes it usually ends up in like a laugh, like the person kind of like laughs because they realize I'm staring at them, and or like, oh, hello, or good day, or something like that. So sometimes, but a lot of people resist. They put a lot of energy in resisting that. So.
Yeah, it's just too bad.
Yeah, because all I'm looking for is a smile or something. That's it.
So can you share with us, through your expert experience of connecting with people or trying to connect with people on the streets or observing this in Central America, how can people better connect with people that they don't know, like on the streets, just not necessarily to even have a conversation, but just to be more human? What's a tip you might offer?
We can start by being more open. So just being open to the possibility of talking to someone. So even if you don't want to initiate a conversation, even if you're just open to it, then if someone walks by and they smile, you could just smile. Like, that's really easy. If you want to engage in conversation, a trick that I usually do is just give them a compliment. It's something.
The compliment.
Yeah. So that's an easy one. Like, oh, your scarf is really awesome. Like, where did you get that? And then I do have like Yeah, I have a line. I'm like, do I share it? Yeah, I can share it. So my line usually, so if I'm like, oh, I really like your sweater, and they say, oh, thanks, I got it, like such and such a place. I just say, oh, you sure lied and told me that you made it, because I've been way more impressed. So that's my line.
And then it makes them laugh.
Yeah, then they laugh, and then then they relax, and you can carry a conversation, or not. Maybe you just pass by, and that's the extent of it. But yeah, that's my line. I just shared with you. That's my catch. So
your catch.
Yeah.
Well, I think you could still use it. I don't think the whole world is going to criticize you for having a line. I think it's great to have some go-to phrases that make you comfortable approaching people and creating the possibility that they might engage in a conversation or at least smile at you and just be human.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Well, very nice to meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
Again, Amy, and thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today.
Of course, thank you.
To discuss these important matters and to learn more about you and what you're doing with your studies and your good work and how your work, some of the work you're doing with the sociology side of things actually backs up some of what's going on with Talk to More People and the benefits of the human connection, which I'm super excited to learn more about as the weeks and months progress.
Absolutely.
And thanks for following along. This is Amy and Tony coming to you from the roastery, saying we'll see you later. Keep talking to people.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries. Hopefully that was okay.
I think it's perfect.
Okay.
Let's see if I was